right, shalom.
Shalom.
We want to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto
Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushai, by Hashem, Rakakodash.
double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to all the occupying the pushing the word of sincerity and in truth. Yeah, we're just going to get into these prophecies dealing with the little horn. That little horn written in the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter. That's referring to America, whether you believe it or not. And that's talking about really certain guys from the outside looking in. A lot of these individuals, when you get into a biblical narrative, they don't see America nowhere within the scriptures, man. Mm-hmm. They don't understand that it's the virgin daughter of Babylon. They don't understand that it's the little horn.
Babylon the Great.
Yep, Babylon the Great. America goes by many titles within the scriptures. And just like it's written in the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter, that the Lord revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. Mm-hmm. Only a select few of men have the eyesight, as it is written in the book of Revelations, to see. Yeah. Because what the Lord has supped with, starting off with the apostles and their elders, Elder Abba Bivens, Elder Yaquab, Elder Ariah, on down, to the apostles and our elders. And the Lord has supped with those individuals and gave them the clear understanding so that they could break these scriptures down. And we do the same thing, learning from our elders and our apostles, man. So we're gonna go straight into it, the facts of the matter, which going into America being that little horn, and like it speaks about, America soon to go into that perdition, which is that destruction.
Can I get something real quick?
Yeah, you got it.
Romans 11:7, because you mentioned, whether these guys believe it or not, the mysteries have been revealed to the servants, man, the prophets, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Romans 11:7, what then Israel have not attained that which he seeketh for, but election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. According as it is written, the Most High have given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear until this day.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that can't see it. Why? Because they're not learned. All right, they don't have that spirituality to connect and link all the dots, and the pieces together. When you read throughout the scriptures, it always talks about major kingdoms that would stand, and eventually they would break down. It speaks about Babylon the Great. All right, it speaks about Persia, the Persian and the Mede Empire. It speaks about Greece. It speaks about Rome. And later on, it speaks about America. And you had men, prophets, that prophesied these great kingdoms would come to be. All right, such as Daniel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, these different prophets, whether they were prophesying in the time of those kingdoms and prophesying their downfall, or they was prophesying before the kingdoms and they was prophesying that those kingdoms was going to rise. They had major critical observation, so to speak, on the time that they was living in, such as now. Yeah. And see, through the Spirit, we're in the end, so we got to do what? Research. As a matter of fact, before we get into it, can you get Job 8:8? Right. Because everything deals with searching back, man. The term research means to search back. Going into the previous kingdoms, like we, dealing in terms of Daniel the 7th chapter, it speaks about the head of gold. It speaks about the chest of silver. It speaks about the thighs of iron. It speaks about the
feet of clay.
Yep, the feet of clay. It speaks about, if I'm not mistaken, the brass, which represents the you got the silk. Matter of fact, now we got to get into it because I'm missing one with Greece. But it speaks about all these different kingdoms, and they all are significant one to another. And you have to do your due diligence to study and research and go into this book to link it up. You got it? And Job.
Yeah,
you get that Job, and then we'll just get straight to that.
This is Job chapter 8. I started at verse 7. It says, though thy beginning was small, yet thy latter end should greatly increase. For inquire, I pray thee.
As the word inquires to do a thorough investigation, inquisition. Keep going.
It says, for inquire, I pray thee, of the former age.
Of the former age. So the days of old. Going into this history. Yeah. Just like Apostle Hardy always goes into, man, to really be a prophet, you got to be, You gotta know about history, man. And the apostles always push that in Great Millstone. You gotta know about timelines, man. You gotta know about kings, especially written within the scriptures. You gotta know certain dates, know how to know when this king raised up, who took this king down. You gotta know these things, man. You gotta know a little bit of American history, which that's really what we're going through the Spirit now. And see, these are the things that make a lot of people nap, man. Yeah. It's the type of stuff that get Jake dozing off in the classroom. Jake don't be want to hear this shit, man.
Yeah.
These are the subject matters that Jake failed miserably in, man. They were skipping class to go, see some ass instead of really, hunkering down. Now, of course, we knew it was coming out of the mouth of the devil, but see, they'll still bat their eye, when it comes throughout the book of the Heavenly Father, man. Because they don't have the understanding and they don't have the spiritual connection to really get into it. This morning,
it says, "For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers."
Yeah, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. This morning,
that was it.
Right. So we're preparing ourselves, preparing our mind. And hey, just like when you was a kid, they would have these little magic school bus, and you would go through the timeline.
Yeah.
And then you would really, like you see these. When you was a kid, you would have those books, those adventure books, and they'll, kids be down there shooting within the portals, man.
The magic school bus.
The magic treehouse was another one, But that's how you got to really get into the prophecies, man.
Yeah.
You damn near be living in the midst of
that movie. Was The Never Ending Story?
The Never Ending Story.
The little kid he was so into the book that it was reality to him.
It started to become reality to him.
And that's how the scriptures say. In Romans 15:4, that everything that was written aforetime was written for our learning. So we have to dig into these breakdowns. That's why the deacon was mentioning how the Lord put the Spirit on our apostles and elders to to go into these things so we can learn, man.
Hey, what does it say? Comparing spiritual things with spiritual. So you got that in Daniel?
Yep. Daniel 2:31. That's what you want, the statue. Or you want to get right into it?
You could go a little bit into that, then we'll just jump to the Daniel 7.
Okay, I'll get right to the point.
Because the Lord is breaking down the whole statue, dealing, even in the times that we're living in now, Esau has been the successor of all these previous kingdoms. So we're going to go into the the predated kingdoms, with, they could say predecessor kingdoms, and, show how they even factor in today's time now.
You got it. Daniel 2:31. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was the fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, and belly and thighs of brass, his legs of iron, and his feet part iron.
Belly and thighs. The belly and thighs was brass. That's what I said. Yeah, but that's the Spirit, I had to get it. Yeah. And then you had the legs, which was iron. Yeah. And it was the feet of miry clay. And really, that's how you know we're in the kingdoms now. Yeah. Because what can miry clay from feet do to you? Yeah. Now, when you got iron thighs, that can do some damage. Yeah. Dealing with the anatomy of the body, the legs are some of the most powerful instrumental pieces of, especially like MMA fighters. Shit, the muscles on the leg, that's really like your most sturdiest, biggest muscle. What's the word I want to find? Like your biggest muscles, so to speak. Yeah. Your calf muscles, your major muscle categories lie within basically from the thigh leg region, man.
Yeah. And also your abdomen.
Yeah.
Like the core.
Yeah.
The belly. Those are the strongest parts. But as you said, as you get further down, the feet are made for stability. If you got a feet made of clay,
oh man,
you bound to crumble.
Yeah, bound to crumble.
That's why they say, it's actually factual, but the femur bone in your thigh is the hardest bone to break.
Yeah. Yeah. So the gold represents the Babylonian, silver, the Medo-Persian Empire. The iron is the Roman Empire, and of course, that last part, the clay, represents America.
Did you say something about the Greek too?
Greek.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah, the Greeks, the Greeks, which is the
brass.
brass.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen these historical pieces take place. You know, you cut on History Channel, then you hear about Alexander the Great, not knowing that he's written within the scriptures right next to you, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's why the elder in the camp, you know, he did the lesson on how these Christians are missing, basically they're missing the story, man.
Missing the scrolls, man.
You know, they're missing the scrolls because the Christians are going to the Apocrypha.
Yeah, that's the part.
You know.
And that's where you'll find Alexander the Great. No, that's a beautiful point. You find all these individuals, you know. And personally, when I was in history class, I didn't hear about Nebuchadnezzar. I didn't know about some of those individuals.
Right.
I don't recall too much Persian history, you know, but I do remember Alexander the Great and a few of those Caesars.
Yeah.
Not knowing that in the scriptures, they, you know, when you get into the, like, oh shit,
Exactly.
Caesars is actually in the Bible. Yahushua was amongst the Caesars.
Yep.
You know, them getting into the deep studies of, oh, America's within it, you know, that validates the book.
Right. That's what me and the brother was just talking about before the camera turned on. You know, how can people say that the Bible is not valid when it has people that actually live that were in a power seat, actually in the scriptures, man. If you have the eye to see it, man, or you have the ear to hear, you know, like most people wanted to say in the Bible, America, you know, just in plain English, you know, but that's not how the scriptures is taught to you, especially if you in the Christian church. You ain't getting nothing.
No, you ain't getting nothing.
You ain't getting nothing. You want to get in that thing?
Yeah, we get to it.
Start from the top and get to the point.
We get to the main point. So.
This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 8. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn.
So Daniel was speaking on the previous 7 on up about the kingdoms that would proceed. And if I'm not mistaken, verse 1, who he was talking to? Yeah, Belshazzar. So he's talking to the king of Babylon, and he's telling him about kingdoms that's going to happen in the future. And guess what? Chapters 4, you see that those kingdoms started to come in power. You know, that's a historical fact. In the book of Daniel, if I'm not mistaken, it was around like 539 BC, give or take. You know, so proceeding forward, you know, you see Alexander the Great, you know, come in the 330s. Well, you know, a little bit prior, but he started to really get his tracks in the ground around the 300s. Then, you know, of course, Rome and you know, fast forward to today, America is, you know, Greece, of course, they had their time too. So this book is divine inspiration, man, from the Heavenly Father. And it's even books like the Josephus, extra biblical books that show that these texts are you know, are on point.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Alexander the Great, he actually, you know, it's written, like I said, an extra biblical text that he went to certain priests, and they told him, you know, that he's going to take down the you know, the Persians and the Medes, and he's the GOAT. He is the GOAT. Like Jake was talking about, you the GOAT, you the GOAT. He was really the GOAT at that time.
Yeah.
Right.
You're the he GOAT in the book of Daniel.
Yeah.
Right.
You see?
Yeah.
And the prophecy foretold it. And another point on Alexander the Great, you know, when it's a known fact. Philip, his father, had he had an iron hand, man. He was taking those nations down, but Alexander stood above him through the spirit, and it was known when they was trying to ride on that horse. You can look into Alexander's story. His father, Philip of Macedon, was trying to ride on a horse. I think the horse was called Pegasus, and the horse was so stubborn that he didn't let nobody ride. Everybody was trying to ride on this horse. Philip of Macedon couldn't even ride on the horse. But guess who got on that horse? Alexander. So that spirit represented, he was gonna be that man that's gonna sit on that high horse.
Yeah.
He was the man. The prophecy foretold. So you got it.
Yeah, if I can, I'm gonna skip up to verse 7 to give kind of an understanding of what is saying that the little horn came out of, because Romans, so like in Daniel 7, 7 is speaking about the Roman Empire, and America came out of Rome. If you look today, they keep some of the same customs. You know what I'm saying? So Daniel, I don't know why I keep on saying Romans. Daniel 7 and verse 7, it says, After this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue of the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. And if you go into the teeth, that represents power.
Yeah.
You know, the Roman Empire was very powerful in its military might. All right, and when it says it was diverse from the other, because the Roman Empire dealt with senates,
Yeah.
all right, and voting in, you know, these different leaders
Yeah.
and ranks. You know, that's how it was diverse from all the other beasts that was named before it. All right, they used a voting system to determine who was going to be, you know, the next ruler, like they do in America. You know, you have three different branches of government here in America: judicial, legislative,
Executive.
and executive. You know, and through that you got senates and congressmen and governors on up into the president. So America is ideally the Roman Empire.
All over.
All
It's
over.
structured, you know, just like the Roman Empire.
Yep.
And it's
You know?
it's so dominant that they got damn near all these other countries got presidents, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
certain countries having to do their terms and their elections, you know,
Yep.
before they have to get out of office. You know, it's so political, and that's why you have these different governments that you know, they'll get down on other governments that push that democratic rule. That's why it's a lot of stuff, not democratic, excuse me, kind of like that monarch style rule.
Yeah.
They'll get on Vladimir Putin, you know.
Yeah.
They'll get on a lot of these Kim Jong Un,
Mm-hmm.
you know. They'll spit in their faces because they don't do terms, man.
Nah.
They don't gotta pass the torch. Was that every 7 years or whatnot?
Nah. Putin said he'll step down when he's ready.
Yeah, when he mother effing ready, and that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's really a true monarchy, but that's what made America, like you said, more diverse than its neighbors.
I got that in Maccabees just to back up the brother's point on, you know, how you know, the Romans was a Senate. This is First Maccabees chapter 8. I'll start at verse 15. It says, moreover, how they had made for themselves a Senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting a way for the people, to the end they might be well ordered. And, you know, just going, you know, back to how America is structured after Rome, because even with, you know, how they set up, you know, the election, you know, because the people don't choose, you know, just some random person, you know, all right, we want to set him up to be, so we can vote for him. Now they give you a list on who you can vote for.
Yeah, they give you
You know?
a list. And he saw his system so corrupt that you have petitions, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could have these individuals that start petitions for homosexual rights, and they'll give the power to the people, and depending on how many people put their hands or sign the petition, they can put the bill and it start, you know, circulating within the government, and then they'll eventually deliberate within the different, you know, bodies of the government, and then eventually, you know, lo and behold, you got XYZ bill passed, homosexual rights, abortion rights. You know, that's why even a lot of these rights that got passed, you know, you had a situation with, I think, Roe versus Wade, with, you know, giving women the rights to abort their children. And if I'm not mistaken, it sprang from, you know, a woman that got raped, and she didn't want to carry the baby, if I'm not mistaken. You know, and then eventually they started deliberating, and eventually they passed the bill for women to get abortion rights, women to get more liberation rights, women to get this, because what? The people, all right?
What they say, for the people, by the people.
For the people, by the people.
Yeah.
Which is corrupt, because what? Even when you, with Israel, you know, Israel was always jacked up. The Most High had to set rules over Israel, because if Israel could have chose who they wanted to put in power, it would have been a fucking nigga, man.
Well, that's the spirit, because we went into that camp yesterday. When you read the book of 1 Samuel, the 8th chapter, you know, when Israel basically chose a king, you know, other than Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, and when they chose the king, he started doing them dirty. You know, he took their possessions, he took their children, you know, their daughters, their servants,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because Israel, you know, like the brothers going into, you know, and the scriptures say what they are. They stiff neck and they're destroyed for lack of knowledge, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But going back to this, it says, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting a way for the people, to the end that they might be well ordered.
Yeah, and you got the Senate, you got the House, you know, the House of Representatives, you got the different bodies, you got the executive, you got the legislative. What's the other one? The judicial branches, you know, and all these different things, you know, help pass.
Democrat.
Speaker of the House, all
The
kinds
Speaker of the House with Nancy Pelosi, you know. So you have these different individuals that set up to be the voice of the people, and really they're the threat of the people, and they don't even know it. That these devils mask themselves and say like, "Look, you put me in this position,"
Yeah.
you know, and not even knowing these people, not even knowing that they're being really puppeted
Yeah.
from a shadow government.
Yeah.
That's who really controls the little horn.
Mhm.
Is the devil himself, man.
Yeah.
Esau, the Illuminati played a critical role, you know, in putting America in power, man. Some more?
Yeah, one word. It says, verse 16, and that they committed their government to one man every year,
Mm-hmm.
who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one,
Mm-hmm.
and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them.
Yeah, so that's what they used to quell the people. They made the people have the illusion of choice. That's why when you vote today, you know you take your vote, then you'll go was it the ballot,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So then you get your badge or whatnot. Show, you know, you get your little sticker, show that you're a citizen, and so you cast your votes to elect a the next POTUS. Not even a lot of jakes don't even put in perspective. What's the term? Electoral. Electoral college. Man.
And that's what really counts.
That's the ones that really count. You know, and a lot of that shit is rigged any damn way, man.
Yeah.
That's how the little horn came in to deceive.
Exactly.
Because Revelation 20 speaks about how Esau came in really to deceive.
Yeah.
There was a little girl, and I'm gonna put it in the group. It's an old video. She went into how all the presidents actually are related, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
She said going back to the crowns in England, man. And that shows you even too. That's the mother in the book of Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
One of the major. Well, that is the mother of America.
Mm-hmm.
Great
Britain.
Britain. That's that little horn.
Yeah, that's who America came out of. The Great Britain.
Great Britain. Mm-hmm.
You know.
Got that.
You want in Revelation 20?
I wanted that in Daniel 7. Just wanted to the little horn. Yeah.
This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse 8. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns, plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things.
Right. So it spoke about the plucked up, right?
Yeah.
The plucked up of the 3 horns.
Mm-hmm.
So when that little horn came in, Esau came and settled.
Yeah.
All right, because when you had 1492 Columbus sailing the ocean blue, his first settlement, he didn't reach America.
Yeah.
It took a little time afterwards, you know, to get their claws within America, so to speak. Because what you had a lot of the Hispaniola, those islands, those were the main ones that was started to get a lot of Spanish territory within them.
Yeah.
You had the Spanish conquest with what's this guy? This Francisco Pizarro.
Yeah.
You had it's another one, Hernando de las Casas, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of those the Spanish started to get their hands in, and then eventually you see what the British started to get their hands in, as well as the Portuguese started to get their hands in, as well as the Dutch. But what the Portuguese was mainly got their control in Brazil.
Yeah.
That's why you have in today what you go to Brazil, they don't speak Spanish.
Yeah, they speak. That's the spirit because my real she speaks Portuguese, and they were. She was telling me that it was Brazil it's only Brazil and one more other country that only speaks Portuguese. Everybody else speak like Spanish.
Everybody else speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to Brazil and go try to speak some Spanish to them, man.
Nah, they like because it's totally different.
Yeah.
Because even with my real job, she prescribes pills, and she speaks Portuguese, but a lot of the patients speak Spanish. So she basically had to forget Portuguese in order to speak to her cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with spiritual too, if you go into Portugal and Spain, they're right beside each other.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's different though. You know, so dealing in terms of America, you know, you had what British, that little horn, and what Jake always speak about Plymouth Rock.
Yeah.
You know, we ain't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Yeah.
That was dealing with the pilgrims, man. And those pilgrims started to get their pilgrimage all throughout the Americas, and then Britain started to be a major thing, man. They started taking down Gad, which that's in the book of Job 24.
Oh, kind of.
Going into to the landmark, they started to get those landmarks of Gad, and then Britain started to become a major thing within America. And then you've seen, matter of fact, read that over, because we're gonna have to go into those three little horns.
Right.
It's a lot of history, even though that's a verse. It's a lot of history.
Yeah. Romans 7 and verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn.
Right. So those other three horns was France, Spain, and Britain. And then you see France started to lose their clause within the American banks, so to speak, when they was in America, because what? They had to give up the Louisiana Purchase.
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but the French was battling with what's the guy name in Haiti?
Toussaint.
Yeah, Toussaint Louverture.
Mhm.
Is that how you pronounce it?
That's how you say
So a lot of their time was occupied because they had a hard time
Oh, hell.
with Toussaint Louverture.
Mhm. He was kicking their asses, man.
Yeah, he was kicking their asses, man.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, so when Toussaint Louverture, that's why you had the Haitians that had the Haitian independence, man.
Yeah.
That was the only country over here on the western coast that was able to get independent because of Toussaint Louverture.
Mm-hmm.
And then Napoleon, as well as the other French, they was having such a hard time holding Haiti down, as well as dealing with the Spanish and because you had California,
Yeah.
Louisiana Purchase was the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You had, they had California. All that was basically that's Spanish land. A lot of that on the West Coast. A lot of Spaniards took over from Mexico, going upwards in California. That's why it's all San Diego. Los Angeles is Spanish. It's a city of angels.
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Or how the hell you say it in Spanish? But Angeles is the city of angels, man.
Mm-hmm.
San Diego, all that is Spanish. That's
Yeah.
Spanish land, so to speak, because the Spaniards took over that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had America, which 13 colonies was over here.
Yeah.
So they was being squished.
Yeah.
And then they had to give up the Louisiana Purchase. They had to give up that whole. It wasn't just Louisiana either. It was Louisiana springing all the way up. But they had to sell sell that whole region. For I forget how many francs.
Yeah.
They got their money in francs, and they basically they left it alone. Then
Yeah.
America started to get their hands in, and that's that little horn.
That's how. That's how you know or really that's why you gotta go into history, because even with the people that's dwelling in Louisiana now, what they speak Creole.
They speak which is like French.
Yeah, it's like a French.
Mhm.
It's like a French tongue, man.
Mhm.
You know.
Because the French was over them.
Yeah, because the French that's who ruled in that area, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
I'm gonna read this little point, then we're gonna go back to it. This is Louisiana Purchase. The Louisiana Purchase was the acquisition of the territory of Louisiana by the United States from France in 1803. So around those 1800s, that's when France France was basically getting their asses kicked.
Mhm.
In return for $15 million, which is a lot back then in the 1800s, but
Yeah.
or approximately $18 per square mile, the United States nominally acquired a total of 828,000 square miles. However, France only controlled a small fraction of this area, most of it inhabited by American Indians for the majority of the area. What the United States bought was the preemptive right to obtain Indian lands by treaty or by conquest.
Yeah.
So when Esau got in the pot, that's that Job 24.
Yeah.
They started to rip up and tear all the landmarks
Mhm.
from those Gadites and get them up out of there.
Yeah.
That's the devil. That's that small horn.
Mhm.
You got that?
Yeah, I got it.
We're gonna go back to that.
24. Yeah, I got that.
I'm gonna read this last little bit. The total cost of all subsequent treaties and financial settlements over the land has been estimated to be around $2.6 billion. And that's the devil for you, man.
That's the devil. That's why the scripture tell you in the book of Nahum. It tells you what it says: "Woe to the bloody city, it's all full of lies and robbery, man." You know,
Pray the part of night.
yeah, and the prey the part of night. Going to that prey is Israel. You know, because once Esau took over, man, where else could we would have went, man? We was oppressed, man. You know, it's really, especially the northern tribes, man, that came over here. You know, when they escaped or when they fled from the Assyrians, man, during their captivity. You know, but this is the book of Job 24:1. It says, "Why, seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty, do they that know Him not see His days? Some remove the landmarks; they violently take away flocks and feed thereof."
Yeah, and it's in the law to thou shalt not remove thy neighbor's landmarks. So it says some remove landmarks. Who took those marks of lands that was allotted or allocated unto them? Esau did. And what people? Those native tribes, man. That's why even when you're dealing with a lot of these states within the United States, you know, and cities, a lot of them are really Gadite names, man.
Yeah.
You know,
A lot of street names.
a lot of street names. If I'm not mistaken, Mississippi. A lot of it's either Spanish or it's Gad. A lot of those names are. I should look it up. You know, all the names that it might be a lesson for another time.
Yeah.
You know, all these different. I think Montana.
Yeah, like over in that Oklahoma area.
Over
Because
there in Oklahoma area.
that's where Esau pushed a lot of during the Trail of Tears. A lot of the northern tribes went or traveled to that area.
Like the Midwest.
Yeah, like the Midwest.
Yeah.
I got a quick precept.
You got it.
Numbers 35 and 33. Two scriptures says, "So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed."
Yeah, so that little horn shed that blood. And he did everything by the force of the sword, man. You know, like I said, they had the option to do treaties or by conquest. Esau chose really both.
Yeah, that's true, because even with the treaties that they made, they broke them.
Right.
They made the northern tribes sign treaties with them, and then still broke them, man.
Yeah.
That's how you know Esau is the devil, man.
And the reason why he did it like that is because they was buffering, man. Esau was taking time. Say for instance, he put some tribes on hold. He put them on bricks, man. All right, we ain't gonna war with you.
Yeah.
They waited a couple years for them to handle some business out, you know, XYZ. And then when they had the times and the funding, they went and slammed on them.
Yeah, they stalled them out.
Then they pushed them in this one
stalled
area.
them out.
They stalled them out. Yeah. They pushed them into one area. All right, y'all can do y'all thing here. You know, we got to go handle some stuff in some other area. Esau was killing, slaying, butchering. Then when he got more resources and more Indians, because he had more, those Gadites, a lot of them, he was killing them, and he was recruiting a lot of the men, man. So he would have certain Indian tribes to war with other Indian tribes.
Yeah.
That's how he really got his foothold, and he would pay them. Pay them what? United States, and he started to get his currency.
Yeah.
It was a time where American currency wasn't in America. You didn't have the good old white boys, George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. You didn't have all those good old devils on these greenbacks. You didn't have greenbacks in circulation.
Yeah. And they did it all under the pre-notion too of what what was that they used as a term? Like it
manifest,
was manifest destiny. Yeah,
Yeah.
manifest destiny. Like it
Yeah.
was their God-given right to come over and slay the northern kingdom and remove them because this land was destined for them.
Yeah.
You know, this the devil, man. If you can't see it, then you know that's on you, man.
Yeah.
But Daniel's here is American history, man. Daniel chapter 7. All right, and it's written out in the form of a vision or a dream.
Mhm.
But like we started the lesson with, the Lord has put men on the earth that He's dealing with to break these sayings down to us. And when you do the research and line everything up, it lines up perfectly, man. You know?
Some more on that?
Yeah, the three horns was British, French, and Spain.
Mhm.
It says, and there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots.
Yeah, no,
That's
three was
the-
the.
yeah.
Oh, you about to say?
Go ahead, bro.
Oh, and I have it queued up, which is the French and Indian War.
Mm-hmm.
That was the pluck up,
And we just went into that with the French, the Louisiana Purchase. After that, they got plucked up. France ain't got no, no major. They don't have no territory really here. But you could go, like you said. I think even in New Orleans, you got French quarters, man.
Yeah.
And I was gonna look at
Mardi Gras. You got all these different, a lot of these different celebrations, and they got a real French debaucherous feel to it because they came from those French parties that was going down over there in France, man. You know, and a lot of these Spanish.
which that was another one. You had the French and Indian War,
Yeah.
which the Anglo. You had also the Anglo-Spanish War. Anglo was dealing with
England. Anglo was another word for angels.
Anglo-Spanish War, and then when they started to really
Break those the Spanish and the French down. That's when America broke off from that, from Britain, from that other horn, that third horn, and it became its own little horn, and it got
American independence from the American Revolution.
So a revolution is what? To turn.
Yeah.
So America came, and that show you that's the bastard son anyway. The first thing America did, to show its independence is really turn on their mother.
Yeah.
Turn on the one that financed them, gave them tribute, actually gave them the way to actually, do their expeditions to even call it an America. And then the first thing America does is turn on its mother, man.
Yeah.
You suggest?
Yeah, I was gonna say, the U.S. has 800 military bases in more than 70 countries, man, territories. That's how you know when it speaks of in Job 9:24, how the earth was given into the hands of the wicked, and that just goes to show you that this devil is ruling, man. He's using the sword, to take peace from the earth, because by him plucking these three up and coming to rulership, he's left these other countries in a worse state than it was in before he conquered them.
Yeah, and he still kind of, I guess the time for it like supervised. The scripture say, roughly paraphrase, I forget. I think it's Habakkuk, but it says, neither do he keep it at home.
Yeah, he big brother.
Yeah, he big brother, man. And that's how America basically ruled over really the world, because if you go into how NATO was formed, these other smaller countries needed the aid of America, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's some teeth. Yeah, that's some teeth.
And I had a little bit on this under the American Revolution, just the outcome of the American Revolution. It says independence of the United States of America from the British Empire, end of British colonial rule in 13 colonies, end of the first British Empire. So that's when Britain pretty much died, and it became the new kingdom. And it says began the age of revolution. And when it speaks about the age of revolution, it's dealing mainly with America.
So that's when that little horn started to really start from a little horn and raise up to this great horn. And we're going into the definition of horn that represents
Our power. It's another definition. I was trying to think exactly what it said. Matter of fact, I can bring it up. So made.
I'm gonna read a little bit more in that verse. It says,
Okay.
before, while you pull that up, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in his horns was eyes like the eyes of a man, and the mouth speaking great things. And that's how you know it's talking about America. You know, them speaking great things. They act like they can't be touched. You know, they the big brother. You know, they the bully on the schoolyard. When conflicts start to break out, you know, in other parts of the world, who always steps in? You know, and they think that they have the best military. You know, their pride is through the roof.
Yeah, because even with the whole situation with over in Israel now, you know, I think Biden came out saying that they're gonna supply Israel with it was like $1 billion worth of military supply, man. You know, billions of dollars over the next, I think he said 10 years.
Yeah, that's the least of the flock. It's gonna draw them out. You know, because Israel attaches to America heavily because America, you know, hey, America got the bag, man.
Yeah.
They stole the bag and they sitting on it, and they use it to manufacture guns in war, man.
Yeah.
John 10:10 says that the thief cometh not, but to kill, steal, and destroy.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a little bit on horn. It says oppressors in Israel. This is the definition, and it goes into the word ram also. Quran, Quran, which is it might be, it's multiple definitions, but this one, you know, it does go into ram also. But yeah, it speaks about the oppressors of Israel, and it's a symbol of strength, denoting increase of might.
Yeah.
And they became a mighty nation, and they were so strong that you seen World War I, you seen World War II, you started to see that Esau damn near couldn't be touched. That's why when you go into the book of Revelations, it speaks about how he did great things, so that he made a fire come down from heaven. That's that virgin daughter of Babylon that really inherited the sea. Because since America took over Britain and took down these different horns, those little horns got subjected onto America, and that's the 7. You know, you got the 7
7 heads.
Yeah, with the and the what was it? How many horns? 7.
7 heads. 10 horns.
7 heads of the those were the horns.
Yeah.
They basically they started to ride on top of the horns. That's why it's the horn that ride, because you can't, you know, like you said, strep never gets destroyed; it only gets transferred.
Yeah.
It tells you that even in the law. So that horn, just because it spoke about they getting plucked up, didn't mean they just lost their grounds in America.
Yeah.
But they got subjected really onto America through what? The EU and NATO, man.
Because even when you continue reading in the book of Daniel, it tell you how those basically those kingdoms that were brought down, you know, like the 4 beasts are still going to receive their judgment. You know how they're going to receive their judgment if they're gone. You see?
Okay. Some more?
That was more in
No,
that. I had the Revelation 20.
Yeah, we close. Unless you want to bring something up.
It's Revelation 20. I'll start at verse 1. Or you want me to start at 8?
You get to there.
Revelation 20 and 8. It says, I'll start at verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle.
Yeah, this is the time, man. This is the time where that great battle of Armageddon is to, ensue. You know, that third world war, where all these different nations are going to come together and they're going to fight this major battle. And that virgin daughter of Babylon, that little horn, you know, that goes by all these many titles, is going to burn, man. That's also a part of the prophecy. That as great as this horn started to raise up, is as great as the fall going to be. More.
It says, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camps of the saints about, and the beloved city, and fire came down from the Most High of heaven and devoured them.
And what's that fire?
Missiles, man.
That's the missiles. So in this time that we're living in, you already see that these different nations are buffing up their missiles.
Yeah.
Missile technology. The Most High is putting certain inspiration in these different scientists to develop cutting edge.
Yeah.
You know,
Cutting edge, just like that's how you like to describe it.
yeah, I love calling it
Yeah.
cutting edge technology.
Yeah.
Literally, because they cutting and splitting the atom. That's
Yeah,
how they
yeah,
got
That's
it.
how they good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
With
fucking the Lord gave them knowledge to split the damn atom, man.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how they create those missiles.
Yeah, those thermonuclear missiles.
Thermonuclear missile.
Yeah. So just like how the scriptures tell you that how America began, it tells you how America is going to be brought down as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the prophecy, you know. Hopefully, Brother Edify we just wanted to, go through the spirit of power. Yahweh Shema Shah to go into that little horn, go into it being raised up, subduing, and also being took down. And it's mainly what in the book of Daniel, that millstone.
Yeah.
It said liken unto a great millstone, because the taking down starts now.
Yeah.
Through the spirit, pulling down these strongholds. And then ultimately, Yahweh Shah is going to pull it down by force. You see, so hopefully, Brother Edify, we're going to end by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto
Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Papa Dash.
Nobody to the apostle of the great millstone. Shalom, my
Shalom.